Now we have to talk about Tupac, which I wasn't committed to, but then I watched the doc. So
Didn't know you were getting that.
you have a lot of people saying stuff in there that makes it sound like maybe he was responsible for that murder, which has never been proven. That's a very serious
But
thing.
you have Keefe D over in Vegas now, getting ready to go on trial for that case, saying those things.
I told you you can't trust these niggas. Now Puffy done killed Tupac, man.
You know, I have my guys with me, Thug Life guys, and we heard what he had to say. He basically said he ain't have nothing to do with my brother's murder.
We don't talk about things that are nonsense.
You think he was lying?
Quite possibly, and it's kind of looking that way. Here we are 27, 28 years later. The theory involving him is quite high on the list. Our family, you know, we still suffer. He was all wrapped up, but he was still shaking the bed. He really wanted to tell me something. I'm assuming it was something that had to do with the hit.
I get the feeling quite strongly that you don't believe Diddy. I don't think you believe a word of him.
It seems like he got a whole bunch of power, like absolute power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
What's your message to Sean Combs?
In Sean Combs, The Reckoning, the documentary doesn't just revisit Diddy's rise. It places his influence inside one of hip-hop's darkest and most debated chapters. The series walks viewers back into the tension between Diddy, Tupac Shakur, Biggie, Bad Boy, Death Row, and the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that changed music forever. What makes this section powerful is the timeline. The documentary brings in people close to the situation, including investigators, insiders, and witnesses who believe the story around Tupac's death was never fully answered. One of the biggest names brought back into focus is Keefe D, whose earlier statements have kept Diddy's name attached to the conversation for years. According to the documentary, investigators examined claims that money, weapons, and intermediaries may have played a role in what happened in Las Vegas. Now, with Keefe D facing trial and Diddy's legal troubles already under public attention, the old questions are returning with even more force. And this is where Zip Martin's name becomes important.
Quite possibly, and it's kind of looking that way. Here we are 27, 28 years later. The theory involving him is quite high on the list. Our family, you know, we still suffer. He was all wrapped up, but he was still shaking the bed. He really wanted to tell me something. I'm assuming it was something that had to do with the hit.
I get the feeling quite strongly that you don't believe Diddy. I don't think you believe a word of him.
It seems like he got a whole bunch of power, like absolute power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
What's your message to Sean Combs? Tupac Shakur was American hip-hop's brightest light until he was shot 4 times in a drive-by attack in 1996. His death shocked the world, and Tupac's legend has only grown since his murder, along with the fever speculation about who planned it, who ordered it, and who did it. For 27 years, it was one of America's highest-profile unsolved crimes until finally, a year ago, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was charged. He'd bragged about being inside the Cadillac from which the fatal shots were fired, albeit not by him, and awaits trial as the last surviving suspect. But there are many unanswered questions and a tangled web of claims embroidering notorious figures and an infamous East Coast-West Coast gang rivalry. Many people speculate that this web entangles P. Diddy. Sean Combs is, of course, facing trial on a battery of charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. With his alleged crimes under the spotlight, members of Tupac's family have this week hired an investigator to examine the links between Diddy and the murder. And joining me now is Tupac Shakur's brother, Mopreme. Well, Mopreme, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know what time it is there.
It's like early evening in the UK. Are you in LA?
Currently.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of my people across the pond.
Well, it's great to have you here on Uncensored. Be very keen to talk to you because obviously a lot has happened to P. Diddy in recent weeks. He's now languishing in prison. Let me start first of all, your reaction to what's happened to him.
My reaction is that it's a mess. you know, and in which, you know, I have nothing to do with, but I wanted to make it clear that the family is pursuing an investigation into my brother's death. Wherever the investigation leads, that's where it leads. It is not about that guy specifically. It's about justice for my brother.
You were Tupac's older stepbrother. And I want to, just for the benefit of viewers who may not be familiar with your brother, with what happened, with the rivalry, and obviously his subsequent murder, just very quickly paint me a picture of how all this happened.
Well, for many years, you know, as far as the hip-hop rap world goes, you know, Tupac, my brother, was king of the hill, top dog, king of rap. And with it comes a lot of envy, jealousy, and, you know, all types of things. And all I can make of it is there were groups of people who were jealous and envious and full of hate.
There were two shootings involving a brother. One he survived, one he sadly did not survive. There was this whole East Coast, West Coast war. There have been books about this, documentary films about this, dramatized movies about this. Do you think we know the truth? You said your family's launched an investigation into what happened to your brother. Do you think there are still a lot of unanswered questions?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been an ongoing mystery for 27 years. You know, with the arrest in Vegas, there was a break. There was an opportunity to get closer to the truth. This is, you know, this is ongoing business for us. My Mama Faney pursued an investigation early on, soon after his murder, in which nothing came of it. So we were left with no answers. No answers for 27 years. Now we might have an opportunity to get some answers.
William Lesane describes the tension between Tupac and Diddy as something deeper than competition. According to his perspective, Tupac's confidence, independence, and growing influence may have created pressure around Diddy and the bad boy circle. But rather than presenting one simple answer, this part of the documentary shows how chaotic the entire period was. The Quad Studios shooting, the rivalry, the suspicion, and the music industry politics all created a situation where trust disappeared fast. Gene Deal adds to that by describing the atmosphere as highly competitive, emotional, and dangerous.
Tupac was there to get robbed. You understand? All right. Tupac was there to get robbed. He owed Jimmy Henchman some money. He was refusing to pay Jimmy Henchman the money, so Jimmy Henchman said he could work it off by doing an album or by doing a song with little Sean or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So now, check this out, brother. Puff was there to spy on Big. You understand? What did Little C say? I didn't even know Puff was in the studio. So how they could see Little C's, they could see Tupac out the window coming in the building, but they don't know Puff is there in the studio. Did you ever think about that? Why does Puff stop by Lil C's new session? He want to catch Big writing for them. He want to catch Big's doing songs with them so he could prove. And now he got Andre Harrell with him as a witness. Do you understand me? They go see Jimmy Henchman. What do Jimmy Henchman tell him? Andre Harrell can't stand fucking Tupac. You understand? Puff can't stand Tupac. What do you think the conversation with Jimmy Henchman and Andre Harrell and Puff in that office when they know Tupac is coming up there? What do you think the conversation is? Hold that thought. I'm about to straighten this little nigga out. He gonna stop talking reckless to me. I got somebody that's gonna tighten his ass up. What they didn't know was, in tightening Pac up, if you come to bring some, you gonna get some. That's what I like about that little nigga. If you bring some, you gonna get some. And end up Pac getting shot like that. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure this shit out. I don't care what nobody say. I'm around certain people that tell you certain things. Do you understand me? Zip and Jimmy Henchman was like this. Jimmy Henchman knew a lot of people. And when they come out, and all the information come out, Big and them didn't even know that Puff was in the damn studio. Why? Why? If you got your artist up in the studio, why you ain't stop by the studio and holler at him? Why is Andre Harrell and Puff in Jimmy Henchman's office? And not in there where they, not Bad Boy, but Lil C's them is recording that. Or even letting them know they in the studio. Shh, don't let them know we here.
Alongside William Lassane's comments, Mopreme Shakur has continued to stress that Tupac's death deserves a deeper and more careful investigation. For him, this is not about rushing to blame one person. It is about examining every connection, every name, and every unanswered detail from that period. Because for Tupac's family, real clarity can only come when nothing is ignored.
Now, one last thing before we get out of here. Everybody's accusing 50 Cent of snitching on Diddy, mainly because of the part about Tupac and how he kind of put the whole Keefe D stuff in there. He got the recording of what Keefe D told the police. And there's a few people that aren't too happy about that. And they gotta feel like he should have put that in the documentary.
Everybody want to say that 50 Cent did the whole documentary. He was responsible for doing the whole documentary, what goes in there and what goes out of there. And I don't believe that. And I don't believe that he's responsible for everything that goes in there. I don't believe he's responsible for everything that goes out of there. Guys want to say that he's snitching, you know what I'm saying, because he's telling his truth about what went down and what he saw or what he heard or whatever like that. I don't know how to love my enemy. And if I gotta put out the truth about something that he was doing and is wrong, and that was wrong, I don't have no problem with that, 50. Not a problem at all. Keep doing it. Maybe enough men come out and speak out on some bull stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're saying that Diddy's family is preparing $1 billion lawsuit over this documentary.
I think they dropped it already. I don't think they ain't gonna have a chance, because before you put something out like that, they're gonna dot their I's and cross their T's. They're going to make sure everything is in place. And if Puff had friends over there at Netflix, if it haven't came down, what it showing? Yeah, if it haven't came down yet, they ain't got a leg to stand on.
Yeah, you just made me think of something. I'm sure Netflix has a million lawyers, and I'm sure they had plenty of lawyers go over this thing to make sure it was airtight.
Yes, sir.
And they might probably even cut some stuff out that maybe they weren't even sure about. Just probably, man. Well, Gene, I appreciate you taking the time. Dope content as always. And I wish you luck, man. I know, man, you get on these interviews and they go crazy, man.
Yeah, man, listen. A lot of people want to, come at me, and everybody want to find fault in 50, find fault in me, find fault in anybody who's speaking out against the evil shit that's been going on. But what about find fault from the person who did it? Find fault for the person who starved their artists. Find fault for the person who led an artist out there to lead to his death. Find fault in a person who set up the atmosphere for one of the greatest artists in hip hop to lose his life. You know what I'm saying? Find fault in a person that allegedly had a person sore in the middle of the night and they didn't want to be sore. Find fault in this individual who did all this crazy shit to people instead of find fault in the people who's talking about it and letting you know about it.
Why do you think people defend Diddy? That's crazy, right?
I used to really believe they really want to be in the Diddy party so bad.
It's because they're doing the same shit he doing.
Or done it.
Damn. All right, Gene. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
That's a nice
Appreciate
cat.
you too, man. Yeah,
Right,
I
bro.
seen yours in the background too.
Oh, did you?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, my cat be going crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Gene. All right, bro. Thanks, man.
Be good, brother. Peace.
All right, bro. Later. What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.
Moprem Shakur also described Tupac's final moments as something that still haunts him. He believes Tupac seemed like he wanted to communicate something important before he passed, and that memory continues to push the family toward answers.
Let me ask you a serious question.
No.
Do you think if he do you think if he didn't go to death row, would he still be alive?
It's hard to say.
Kirk Burroughs later reflected that the tension between Tupac and Diddy may have played a bigger role in the chaos of that era than people realized at the time. William Lassane also points to the pressure surrounding Biggie's rise and Tupac's independent path. Those two worlds were moving in opposite directions, and the rivalry only made the situation more unstable. The Quad Studios shooting became one of the defining moments of that tension, a moment that Tupac never seemed to fully accept as random.
Awards, man. Y'all had two run-ins with Tupac and Suge Knight at that award show, right? One outside the award show and one inside the award show. I think the one outside the award show, Tupac and Suge, they pulled up in a red Hummer and Tupac got out and he started yelling at Biggie. And you said somebody named C. Gutter pulled out a gun on Tupac. And I think the one inside the award show, you said that y'all seen Tupac and Suge, and when you look to the side of you, Puffy disappeared. And I did an interview with Napoleon, and he told me that Tupac told him that when Puffy seen him, he ran. And I think Napoleon told me that Puffy ran inside a tour bus. That's what Tupac told him. So from your point of view, man, what happened?
Well, you talking about the 96 Soul Train and the 97 Soul Train. The 96 Soul Train Awards, right? One of the officers, and I'm just gonna call him Bun. He was at the 96 Soul Train Awards with me, and he was right next to Big. And this is based on his accounts, right? Now this guy is a decorated, he's a decorated officer, been an officer for over 30-some years. And if I'm gonna believe somebody, I'm gonna believe what he tells me. You understand? And I've been knowing him since '86. So now, he tells me, because we're riding back in the limousine with Puff now, because Big and them left him out there. He told me, as far as Pac came over there talking about, nah, what, West Side and all this other shit like that. And a woman walked past Big. And when this woman walked past Big, she said, oh, now, Tupac is here. He said, Ma, I ain't scared. I ain't scared of him. You understand? And he said, Pac started saying, now what, you fat motherfucker, like that. And Big started saying, what, you know what I'm saying, went back and forth like that. Now, Suge Knight and them, they coming towards. And he said, for no reason, well, you know, you don't know what Suge Knight gonna do, you don't know what, but C Gutter pulls out the gun. When C Gutter pulled out the gun, the Nation of Islam got in the middle of it, and they stopped all the bullshit. I don't know if Suge seen the gun or not. I don't know. But even C Gutter, when he got out of jail, he went on another platform and he said, yeah, I pulled the gun out on Suge. He said it himself. You understand? There were stories that going around saying Keefe D did it. Keefe D wasn't even with us at the time. So now, me and Puff, here's the altercation over the radio, right? We hear the altercation over the radio. We running towards that direction. When we get close to the corridor, but prior to that, we had an altercation with some guys from the Nation of Islam. And if it wasn't for Mustafa, Farrakhan's son, it would have been an issue. You understand? He got into the brother's face and had to tell him like 2 or 3 times to back up. And then next thing you know, all the Nation of Islam started running over there to where he was at. Because that's Farrakhan's son, and he runs the shit. So now, we leave going down the corridor. And so then Puff, I could see Suge and them, right? So they coming at the top of the stairs, right? They coming to the top of the stairs. So they trying to gather their whole crew up and make sure they good. Puff is on my left side of me. He's on the left side of me. So I said, yo, my man, just take care of my family.
Diddy has consistently denied any connection to the Quad Studios attack, and he has maintained that neither he nor Biggie were involved. But Gene Deal's comments place that denial beside the pressure, rivalries, ego, and ambition that shaped the entire era. The documentary uses both sides to show how complicated 1990s hip-hop became, where loyalty, fear, power, and competition all collided.
ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer, along with ABC News contributor, DJ, and radio personality Megan Wright, for more on this. Brian, what kind of evidence would you need just to have this search warrant, just to get this search warrant?
So search warrants, for the most part, you need 2 things: probable cause and what we call particularities, or a better way of saying is specificity. What's probable cause? That's the information an officer has from a trustworthy source that a crime had occurred. So someone told them that there was going to be some sort of material evidence in this house to go and search, and it's enough to be, say, to a judge, hey, let's go and search this facility or area.
Megan, how significant is it for this case to be reopened after so much time?
I mean, it's super significant. Nobody wants to hear we don't have the answers, okay? Not the family, not the friends, and not the fans. This is one of the biggest tragedies in hip-hop history, and I feel like the only thing that has been consistent is the amount of documentaries that we have gotten, you know, the amount of new reports that kind of lead to nothing, and the conspiracy theories and more confusion. So the fact that, you know, this is happening hopefully leads us to believe that we will get some more information.
Brian, if this search does lead to charges, how difficult is it to prosecute a case like this after 30 years?
Extremely, especially if no one breaks their silence. This would be absolutely a circumstantial evidence case. but it depends on what they find. They're saying they're talking about computers and other documents. Are they going to find the gun and be able to connect it to someone? Are they going to be just able to find more rumors or more people with information? Depending on what they find, it's still going to be difficult, but it could be a little bit easier if they find, for example, a smoking gun.
Megan, this case has become so ingrained in pop culture. Why do you think that is, and what would it mean if we can finally get some answers here?
Look, Diane, you know, I was here on the drop when we talked about, you know, Tupac being finally honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and we say finally, even though, you know, it's been almost 30 years since his passing, but we forget that his career only lasted about 5 years. And to think about how significant of a career that was. Now, radio legend Big Boy at the ceremony said that Tupac was one of the most prolific and complex artists of our generation, and nothing, you know, could be further from the truth. A lot of these songs that he put out close to 30 years ago still resonate with today. So he's not just a rapper, he also stood for something, whether you know, are on his side or not. So I feel like, of course, we all want a resolution, but Tupac definitely deserves one.
All right, Megan Wright, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Years later, Dexter Isaac came forward, claiming responsibility for the 1994 Quad Studios shooting. He alleged that he acted under the direction of a powerful music industry figure, adding another layer to a story already filled with accusations and denials. But instead of finally closing the case, his statement only made the mystery more complicated.
An arrest has been made in connection with the shooting death of Tupac Shakur. The rapper's 1996 murder from a drive-by shooting has remained unsolved for nearly 30 years. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has been indicted for murder, according to the Associated Press. Davis shared in a memoir entitled Compton Street Legend that he was in the Cadillac where the gunfire came from. The New York Post reports 6-time Grammy-nominated Tupac was 25 years old at the time of his death.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a rebel. I'm revolutionary.
He's considered one of the most influential rappers of all time.
We honor and welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Tupac Shakur!
This past summer, he was posthumously honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is Inside Edition Digital.
James Rosemond, also known as Jimmy Henchman, has repeatedly denied involvement in the Quad Studios shooting. His denial adds another layer to a story that has never fully settled. Decades later, Tupac's death, the Quad Studios attack, and the rivalry surrounding Bad Boy and Death Row remain some of the most debated moments in hip-hop history. And now, with old names being mentioned again and new legal pressure surrounding Diddy, the question becomes even louder. Was this simply the chaos of a violent era? Or were there powerful people behind the scenes who still have not been fully exposed?